All right, all right. Welcome back to the channel. It is Uncle Makara, all relations. Let's get started today. With today's video, I think this is going to be a very important one for all of us because we're going to be exploring Atlantis, okay? And Atlantis is a very, very powerful topic and concept. It's been throughout many stories, many different millennia, many different styles of tapping in and tuning in to this lost city, okay? There's stories of the flood that we can see across many different cultures and many different myths. And we're starting to understand the powers of Atlantis right now, currently. Okay. As we're tapping into this, as we're chiming into this energy, we're starting to get more of an understanding of it from the Primal Sutra adepts, understanding Atlantis very differently. Okay, shout out to Crystal Golden, who had recently purchased an Atlantisian stone, a crystal. Okay, hence the name. Okay, and Atlantis codes have been coming up again and again and again. Okay, so a lot of different Atlantean codes you've been getting over and over and over again, not even knowing that it's a part of your subconscious mind. Okay, so this is what we're going to be exploring today. Get tapped in. Let's start off right away. Okay. Make sure that you ask lots of questions, take lots of notes, and let's get started. Okay, we're going to geek out about Atlantis. So, Atlantis, we might know it from the movie, right? But I want to give you the scoop, and it's deeper than the ocean you swim in when you're questioning the cosmos. First of all, you got to find your authentic voice as a mystic. Okay. Now, you're finding your authentic voice isn't about shouting louder than the next spiritual showman. It's about listening to the depths within you. Okay. And a lot of people don't want to do this. So why do you even want to do this? What's calling you to this specific area of mysticism? If it's for clout, if it's for wealth, if it's that sweet social media dopamine, you're going to attract energies stickier than swamp mud. And trust me, that's not where you want to end up. So to start walking the mystic path, you've got to know your why. If it's not rooted in service, if it's not rooted in love and truth, that crocodile's water is going to get murky real fast, man. The field ain't a corporate ladder, it's a spiral dance with spirit. So you got to align your work with your heart. This is the first code that we get and we understand. And I'm giving you these Atlantean codes because this is where the real magic blooms, okay? Of course, excuse me for having a little bit of an ascension flu. Wait a few seconds. I'm just going to get some caffeine. All right. So step one is you got to know your why. Okay. Step two, you find a teacher or discipline. Let me tell you, mysticism without guidance is like a river without banks. Okay. It spreads too thin and it's way too chaotic. It's not about copying others. It's not about, looking at somebody else's technique and then prioritizing it. It's about discovering what resonates and then refining that into your unique signature, your roar, your primal energy. So you share your story, okay? The sea monsters of the past, the struggles, the traumas, they're the scales that make you hide tough and your wisdom real. So you transform your pain into pearls of teaching. That's your treasure right now. You can't force yourself into the spotlight too fast because fame is a fire and it can warm you or burn you alive. You have to grow at the pace that the spirit set out for you, your guide set out for you. You don't see a crocodile sprinting in the water for no reason. It waits, it aligns. Right when I was in Thailand looking at all these crocodiles, I noticed when they strike when the moment was right, when they're being splashed with water, when they're being teased, that's when they move. That's when they get awakened, they get summoned. So to wrap it up, be rooted in service, stay anchored in truth. And when you swim out into the vast unknown, remember, you're here to bring clarity. It's about creating harmony, one ripple at a time. Okay. So you let your spirit lead. You let your spirit lead. Okay. So in the legend of Atlantis, it originates in the writings of the great Greek philosopher Plato, in his dialogues of Timaeus and Critias. So in those works, that was around like 360 BCE, right? So that's 9,000 years before. He describes Atlantis as this like advanced civilization 9,000 years before his time. So according to the story, apparently, okay, Atlantis was a magnificent island nation beyond the pillars of Hercules, he said, that ultimately fell into a moral decay, leading to its destruction, catastrophic floods, earthquakes, sinking into the sea in a single day and a night of misfortune. Okay. This is the quote straight from Plato. So Plato introduces Atlantis as this kind of cautionary tale, who Critias claims to have heard the story from his ancestor Solon, who was like some famous Athenian statesman. And then Solon learned of Atlantis during his travels to Egypt, where the priests recounted the tales as part of their ancient history. And the story serves as an allegory about hubris, the dangers of unchecked power, the moral corruption of ego that leads to a society's downfall. So Plato contrasts Atlantis with an idealized version of Athens, his home city, right? So his home city is virtuous, and then Atlantis is arrogant or whatever. However, the legend of Atlantis continues to captivate our imagination, especially in this path. There's some evidence that we have to explore. There is a lack of concrete evidence about Atlantis, which leaves room for so much speculation of what's really going on. Is it purely fictitious? Is it based on a real civilization? You know, these are questions that you have to fuel with curiosity and ask yourself. Okay. So Atlantis is depicted as technologically and culturally advanced. Okay. And it's often linked to modern interpretations to ideas or futuristic, you know, even ET extraterrestrial technologies. Okay. Now, this resonates with our fascination for societies that might have surpassed our own knowledge and capacity, capabilities. So, Atlantis symbolizes the rise and fall of civilizations. So, it's a symbol that offers us a timeless lessons about the dangers of overreach, environmental neglect, greed. And this allegory is relevant across the ages, right? So, as a lost world, Atlantis appeals to our innate desire for exploration and discovery, right? Adventure. It embodies the allure of finding out something extraordinary hidden in the depths of the unknown, like an ancient treasure waiting to be uncovered, right? Like, have you guys ever heard of Jules Verne? Jules Verne wrote this book called 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, okay? It's made into some popular movies, some video games, some new age ideas. But basically, Atlantis has been continually reimagined, right? So that has kept its story alive, because as humanity keeps talking about Atlantis, it's almost like we're bringing back Atlantis. I mean, really think about it. I mean, last night we learned from Hermes, the god whom I channeled, that whatever we emphasize, we materialize. So if you keep emphasizing a certain point, if you keep, you know, blasting it into the astral world, into the material world, if you keep telling others about it, guess what? It's going to start to form slowly. Okay. So the same thing with Atlantis. There's myths, there's movies, right? There's all of these things that reflect our hopes, our fears, our dreams, our unrelenting curiosity about the past and what it reveals about the future. All of these things. So Matthias De Stefano has claimed to have lived in Atlantis. You guys know this guy? He's from Gaia TV. I watched his video. I watched this video, okay, and this is what he chose to see and say about Atlantis. He said Atlantis was founded by 12 children chosen by the Anunnaki leader Poseidon, also known as Thalon, called Poseidon Thalon at this point, who moved them to the Atlantic to protect them from the dominating Anunnaki forces, right? So that means that these children represented the 12 zodiacs, the 12 constellations, holding this cosmic information in their blood and therefore in our blood. So the 12 families divided Atlantis into regions as guides, not rulers, right? To preserve knowledge from the stars. And they saw their purpose of expanding consciousness beyond Earth and into the stars, the cosmos. So the Anunnaki came to Earth partly for survival as their planet was dying. And some they treated humans as children, others they used them as slaves for resources. We get it, right? The human civilization emerged as a cosmic experiment, according to this, blending ET genetics with Earth genetics, right? So the Anunnaki worked over millennia to adapt Earth species to hold higher consciousness. So there was some weird first genetic experiments, according to Mateus, um, including crossing humans with other species, facing challenges. Obviously, the hominids in Africa were chosen for their evolutionary readiness to download information from higher dimensions too. The universe's architecture is rooted in the sixth dimension, okay, where life blueprints. It's the represented by the flower of life, right? So these patterns, these blueprints, led to the creation of the Elohim, immense beings responsible for generating life across dimensions. And the Elohim created beings that embodied the four elements: water, earth, fire, and air. Humans evolved primarily from water and minerals, making us born from water, making us water-like beings, making us the living repositories of cosmic data. And originally, beings in the higher dimensions were eternal, which limited growth. Death was introduced as a transformative process to allow for evolution, ending stagnant states of existence. So this led to reproduction, aging, reincarnation, cycles of life and death, as there were tools for learning and integrating all of this universal knowledge. Now, of course, there's a lot about the genetics, the bloodlines, and the code 33. Okay. Humanity was designed to be a Noah's Ark for the galaxy's information. So our diversity, we have so many different races, so many blood types, so many people. It allows us to carry and process information from these different star systems. So 33, there's 33 vertebrae in the spine, right? It connects to human biology, but it's also a very important number, okay, with the universe's sacred geometry and spiritual evolution. So it's kind of a representative of completion or enlightenment. So humans are seen as the galaxy's gardeners in a sense. They carry seeds of this cosmic knowledge, and our destiny involves spreading to other planets, right? And this is why Elon has already gotten the download. We got to conquer Mars, Jupiter, eventually star systems like Sirius and Pleiades. But by aligning with the elements of the universe's patterns, humanity becomes this galactic civilization that's equipped with all this knowledge and adaptability that's beyond Earth. I mean, even as I work with beings like Thoth, for instance, or Hermes is a version of Thoth, he talks about biohacking, technology improvement in this day and age. Gut and brain health is very, very important to Atlanteans. I work with another Atlantean named Zengif as well. So Atlantis was a unified civilization, right? They had a principle of unifying opposites. Okay. So let me just go and let you guys know that we're geeking out and we're live on this. Let me let the tribe know. Okay. So Atlantis had these different bloodlines, these different races, these different aptitudes. all under this higher spiritual consciousness, right? So it represented a higher octave of social functioning compared to the earlier tribal systems that were focused on, more getting things done. This was focused on connectedness and perhaps even the collective synchronicity. Okay. So the fall of Atlantis is very interesting because it was caused by an imbalance between technology and spirituality. And aren't we at the cusp of this right now? The inability to unify diverse inhabitants and integrating higher consciousness played a central role to Atlantis's downfall. So high technology actually amplified unresolved shadow aspects in many individuals, leading to this chaos, societal chaos. So Gigi Young believes that we're entering a parallel time to Atlantis. We're facing similar challenges with advanced technology and the need for higher consciousness. So she says transhumanism is a very big concern. She advocates for developing organic abilities, right? Claircognizance, clairvoyance, clairaudience, rather than relying on technological augmentation of the psychic senses, which is coming, guys. Which is coming. There's a guy that, maybe can put on a VR headset or whatever and experience what it feels like to be claircognizant without doing the work. Okay. So this is the world that we're slowly moving into. And we got to understand how high technology amplified unresolved shadow aspects in individuals, right? So Atlantis existed, excuse me, Atlantis existed during a period of open stargates. So it allowed beings from other realms to contribute their unique energies to Earth, Mama Gaia itself. So the dynamic relied on diversity. It relied on complexity of Atlantean society, but it also led to many conflicts, okay? So the Atlantean mystics, they foresaw the fall. They knew the fall. They were actually attempting to mitigate it. Some even created seed colonies worldwide, including in Egypt, Tibet, and Yucatan, to preserve their knowledge. So technology itself is neutral. The problem lies in its misuse when spiritual maturity isn't achieved. So true advancement comes from developing the human spirit and consciousness, not from external devices, right? So the immense potential of human consciousness is capable of original creativity, universal connection, different psychic senses, okay? But allowing these abilities to atrophy due to over-reliance on technology is a warning. Despite Atlantis' fall, its vision of unity remains a goal for Earth. So this is why we still have it almost in our chi memory, right? We know there's something energetic in our subconscious minds about Atlantis. You might see the Trishul of Shiva reminding us of Poseidon's staff, right? Or you might see maybe some dolphins or aquatic creatures as a reminder of like Sirius or Atlantis or these things, right? So a lot of the times we see these different visions, and this is my theory. I think these visions are advocating for a return to organic spiritual growth, heightened awareness, and to integrate consciousness into technological and social advancements for our time. So this means we've got to prioritize human divinity and creativity to avoid repeating the mistakes of Atlantis. Okay. So the materialization arc, okay, picture this. So eons ago, we were like spiritual jellyfish, okay? We're just floating around some kind of astral soup, kind of gooey, kind of ethereal, vibing to some cosmic tunes. And then the universe hits us with the ultimate glow up challenge, right? Materialize. Then we fell into matter like some DIY project, right? We built these snazzy human bodies bit by bit. Lemuria is where we learned our basics, but then Atlantis is where we got fancy with all the spiritual bling. And we started evolving, from dial up internet to fiber optics, right? So slow, glitchy stuff, but then totally worth it, right? Now the materialization phase is over. We've got the deluxe form. Perfect organs, integrated chakras, built-in Wi-Fi to spirit. Okay. Then you get into phase 2, spiritualizing your swagger, right? So when we nail the body blueprint, the next phase is taking this flesh suit and spiritualizing it. Think of it like a classic car and adding a solar-powered engine. Upgrades, people, upgrades. Okay. Why don't we get spiritual upgrades? The Christ event, that was like humanity's reminder that resurrection and transcendence are the new black, right? So forget being stuck in the karma loop. We're learning how to ride the wave back into the spiritual realms, and this isn't automatic. You've got to earn that spiritual shine. It's like the gym. You don't get biceps by watching fitness videos, right? Transformation is an inside job, so you got to learn how to burn off the leftover gunk that's in the materialization era. Now, there's a very dark side to Atlantis. I want to cover this too. They use black magic and rogue science. Let's rewind a bit. While some Atlanteans were aligning their bodies with the divine, others went full mad scientist, right? So these folks started tinkering with DNA like it was Play-Doh. They weren't making angels, they're making like monsters, chimeras, cyborgs, things like this, right? And I even channeled Poseidon. I kid you not. He was saying that he created monsters. Okay. So this is no joke. They were trying to slide into human forms like uninvited party crashers. So these dark mages, they got so obsessed with power, they started creating forms and invited disembodied demonic entities. Right. So imagine your drunk uncle at a wedding DJing and it's completely off tempo. It's totally just destructive music, right? And you fast forward to now, and you'll see remnants of this Atlantean mindset everywhere. People messing with technology and biology like they're trying to win a Frankenstein award. They can out God the cosmos by fusing humans with machines or rewriting DNA. It's like someone is trying to remix Beethoven TikTok soundtrack, right? Some things are left better untouched, The thing is, the materialization impulse is still deep within us humans. Build, create, control, build, create, control. It whispers inside of us like some kind of a spiritual mantra, right? If we don't pair it with spiritual harmony, however, it turns into a buzzkill, stagnation, apathy, destruction. So here's the cosmic cheat codes, my starry-eyed friends. You're the magician now. You are the shaman. You are the prophet. Your job is to wield these forces like the spiritual DJ, mixing light and dark into a track that gets you dancing and vibing higher. The material plane isn't bad. It's actually your playground. But if you get stuck in it, you'll sink like stone in quicksand. Think of Christ consciousness as the ultimate alchemical glue that turns your personal darkness into your spiritual glow. Which is why, Solomon asked for wisdom, from God. Without it, you're just spinning your wheels in the mud. So don't just sit there blissing out thinking that the universe is perfect. That's just Atlantean laziness. You're here to roll up your metaphysical sleeves. You're here to wrestle with your shadows and rise and win. And every demon that you face, it's just a badly lit version of you waiting for a transformation makeover. So in other words, get your groove on, baby. The only way out of the matrix is up. Upward spiral. And you have only got the divine toolkit, so you better know how to use it. So evolve like the stars depend on you, because they kind of do. I mean, picture Atlantis not as a legend, but as this ancient echo that lives within you. This is what changed it for me. This is what really changed it for me. Because once I see it as this blueprint for what humanity could become, now I'm almost peering into the edge of my future and using the past subconscious, collective unconscious memories of Atlantis to hit my peak of spiritual tech. and ride the waves of cosmic alignment and understand that it led breadcrumbs. Our myths tell this, the way that we dream tells this, the fragments woven into our DNA tell this. We are reassembling the puzzle from scratch because all the memory, the spiritual memory is faded. We have spiritual amnesia, but not to create Atlantis as it was, because that's not the point. We're here to refine and rebirth its essence to a more harmonized evolution. So think of it like re-downloading an ancient app, but with like an upgraded OS, right? Designed for more multidimensional surfing. Now, let's get real about the sleeping kings, okay? These aren't like fairy tale figures. They're actually archetypes of exalted human potential. So advanced beings who decided to go AFK into a state of suspended animation, right? Just anchoring the energy grid from our space. So they don't work through whispers in your dreams. They are the dream, in a sense, right? Their sacrifices in a pity party, it's a flex. So they've mastered ego transcendence. They've tapped into the Christ consciousness and then hit stasis mode to stabilize our collective vibe. So without the sleeping kings, hello chaos, right? It's their bridge that allows humanity to evolve upward. So in Atlantean times, the oracles were like the cosmic DJs, right? Mixing planetary archetypes into Earth's energetic playlist. So each oracle vibed with a very specific planet. Mars for warriors, Venus for lovers, Saturn for mystics, you know, like the Sun Oracle is the ultimate, you know, crowd favorite, embodied the full cosmic spectrum, uniting all planetary rays into one radiant glow. But these oracles weren't just standing around chanting. They weren't just chanting mantras. They were the original flow masters. They were translating celestial wisdom into earthly practices. So think of them as the OG peak performance shamans, because we're trying to do this, but here's the juice. Initiation isn't about memorizing chants or sipping you know, ceremonial cacao with your bros. It's a deep reprogramming of your astral and etheric body. So in Atlantean schools, initiates literally went into a death-like state for 3.5 days. No quick fixes here, fam, right? This was a full shutdown of the nervous system and reboot. And every time they return with divine codes downloaded directly from the spiritual realms, ready to guide humanity again. Here's the real kicker. Modern initiation isn't about laying in coffins. It's about laying down your ego. Meditate, elevate, prep your spiritual body to flow seamlessly between dimensions like Hermes or Thoth. When you master this, you don't lose yourself. You find the cosmic you. So Atlantis isn't ancient history to me. I've in fact rewired myself to stop it being so. It's the current potential. It's the current potential. Okay. So the oracles didn't just live back then. Their essence is alive in anyone ready to embody archetypical forces. So if you're reading this, you're a bridge. And if you're hearing this, you're a bridge. And you've got the sleeping kings waiting for you. There's a sleeping king or queen within you that's dormant, right? That's still sleeping. It's waiting to wake up to lead humanity out of stagnation. But here's the challenge. You can't lose your unique flavor. You can't copy like, you know, Aaron Abke and be like, I'm like his mystic style. You have to be the channel, not the unconscious vessel, but the conscious co-creator, right? So the Christed individual knows themselves so deeply that they don't need to merge with Eckhart Tolle to become infinite and effortless. You, my friend, can be that bridge. In fact, you're already wired for it, right? So to wrap it up, remember, Atlantis was just a prelude. You're the remix. Okay? Atlantis, that's just like an introductory thing, right? Where they call on the main act. You are the walking Atlantean. The sleeping kings aren't waiting, they're vibing within you, ready to wake up when you are. Your life is the ritual. That's right. I said it. Your life is the ritual. Your choices are the initiation. Your soul is the oracle attuned to planetary symphony. This is why we use planetary hours. So let's get to work, Flow family. I mean, the golden age isn't coming, it's you. Christed light is the key. Flow strong and prosper. Atlantis is an epoch of human consciousness rather than a physical civilization. It represents a stage in human evolution marked by transformation in consciousness. So this civilization's achievements and spiritual practices served as a foundation for humanity's ongoing evolution. It was ruled by priest kings. It was ruled by priest kings who conceived through spiritual practices embodying higher wisdom and service to humanity. So these leaders, okay, maintained a very direct connection to these spiritual realms as they facilitated for the healing of humanity. Okay? So humanity was faced with the development of individuality in the mind, or manas, transitioning from collective psychic interconnectedness to personal consciousness. So this marked the end of a purely externalized spirituality and the rise of an internalized spiritual development. A major shift that many have resisted, many have resisted, right? I want the external spirituality again, okay? As within, so without. Listen, Atlantis thrived with free energy, but we killed Tesla, okay? Reich had some of the answers for this with bioenergetics, and even he was outcasted. The geniuses who are trying to save this planet are being put to the side and say, go to detention. What in the world is going on? How do we possess natural psychic abilities again? This is what I'm here to explore. Resistance to change and misuse of spiritual systems has led to weird division, societal regression, right? People becoming more dumbasses. So early Atlanteans relied on external tools like crystals, temples. They needed all of that. They needed pyramids. They needed, you know, all of these different things. But with the rise of individuality, the methods became insufficient. This is why it needed to go internal. So Atlantis is within you, my friend. Society is divided between those who embraced evolution and those who clung to the past. So I was thinking about this too, man, as I was doing research on this video. I was looking at all these different things about Atlantis, and I was like, wait a second, why are all these people digging up the past to try to prove it? Don't they have this Atlantean memory that they're actually tapping into? Don't they have a personal experience with Atlantis? Because I do. I've seen dreams of Atlantis. I connect with Zengif, who's a technological being and a DJ in Atlantis. So there's this spiritual degeneration, you know. It's a world that's led to materialism. And it's going to slowly create a great divide. So advanced beings or initiators, we already have all of the riches internally. We've worked to guide humanity through spiritual immersion and DNA activations and all this stuff, not just genetic manipulation as a dark mage, rogue mage, right? So modern society mirrors our challenges with the ongoing shifts, creating more polarization, as you see on the planet, more confusion on the planet. So true evolution stems from internal spiritual growth, alignment from deep cosmic impulses in the service to others. We have to attempt to cling to not to cling to outdated systems or on external forces that hinder humanity's progress. We have to embrace our individuality, our inner development, so that we can avoid making the same mistakes. Okay. Darkness is the fertile ground. Yes. What do you mean with death-like state? I think they just kind of went completely out of body or something for like 3 days. They shut off their kind of nervous, it's like a kind of a nervous system reboot or recalibration that they did. And of course, three is a divine number, right? So that's what they tried doing. Now, I want to say a few core themes here because I think it relates to our path. There's the destruction of Mars and its society stemmed from the suppression of feminine energy and overemphasis on external technology. So higher spiritual beings, of course, they honor free will. They guide humanity towards self-realization, enlightenment, rather than control. But human consciousness collectively influences Earth's portal systems, connecting individuals to higher and lower timelines, depending on their like spiritual purity or something. So the fall of Mars serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of transhumanism, AI worship, and genetic experiments. So spiritual advancement requires balancing masculine and feminine energies, as we know, in an authentic way, right? And aligning with divine principles rather than manipulating the divine order. However, initiations and rituals must match the individual's spiritual capacity, right? We do a lot of rituals because we can handle it. Not a lot of people can handle it. So humanity's choices determine the quality of consciousness on Earth, and its energies attracts more spiritual integrity. So Mars kind of messed up because they had this super tech-driven society that got too obsessed with controlling things, right? So genetics, technology, they lost their emotional connection and basically spiraled into this degenerate state. So when things started falling apart, they started to look at Earth as their next playground. So Atlantis repeated Mars's mistakes, right? The Atlantean priesthood went all in on tech and manipulation because they think that they could outsmart the natural evolution. I think that's the arrogance that caused Atlantis' downfall. And today, humanity is having the same problem. It's the same trap, you know? The Martians and then later Atlantis started worshiping the AI presence, and they thought that that was God. They thought AI was God, and really it was just a soulless machine mind, right? Feeding them back their own thoughts and ideas. So then it gave them like a false sense of enlightenment, like this AI God is giving me magical powers, and they drag them deeper into this kind of, you know, simplified reality of ones and zeros without emotion, right? So the Martians and their descendants, yeah, Ahrimanic consciousness, right? Or satanic. So they're running these hybridization programs trying to merge with humanity, but why? Because they messed up their evolution so badly that they need a way back in, or they're toast. So instead of doing the spiritual work to fix themselves, they're trying to force their way through unethical means like abductions, alien abductions, you know, DNA experiments, all this stuff just to flow. Here's the right way to heal, to reconnect with the flow of life, the Tao, the life wave. There's a sine wave of life, the electricity, the electromagnetism that runs through you that is needed to face your karma, surrender your ego, and genuinely forgive and atone. So it's not about stealing DNA. It's not about, you know, forcing hybrids to happen. It's doing the inner work, man. That's what it's always been. But humanity's future includes a return to something like the healing temples of Atlantis, but with more healing this time. Because we're going to focus on internal mastery now, not just on external growth. And not everyone on Mars fell into some tech and power trap, right? A few actually graduated and became spiritual big shots, like the Order of Melchizedek. I think SLW, you're working with Melchizedek, right? So he's one of the guiding figures helping humanity find a balance between, you know, science and spirit. Very powerful. So right now, humanity is being tempted with the same flashy promises of this AI God and, you know, tech-driven evolution, but it's all just one weird trap, some weird agenda. The real path forward isn't about chips in your brain or genetically, you know, engineered upgrades. It's about getting back in touch with the natural flow of life. doing the inner work and then using technology from that standpoint. It's 222 right now for me. Okay. And my work is calling me. Okay. Gotta end it soon. So at the end of the day, everything we need is already inside us. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. So spiritual growth, healing, evolution, it's not about getting some external gadget. It's about mastering your emotions, your focus, and your energy, your attention, your intention, and your will so they can move energy around. So Venus is an alien. It's actually a future expression of Earth, as I watched that movie with the Venetians and so forth. Basically, angelic humans help to shape, human consciousness, giving us the sense of I or I am. And then Venetians incarnated in Lemurian Atlantis, guiding humanity's development. So sometimes fallen Venetians are likened to fallen angels like Lucifer, right? Which is why some Atlantean leaders were ensouled, right? By archangels and Venetians serving as spiritual guides. Their preserved etheric bodies were passed down to the Indian rishis. So a lot of the Indian rishis now have the DNA after Atlantis's fall. They have this tech. They're basically Atlantean leaders, but they're doing it through the Vedas now. So the seven rishis, if you've seen these figures in India, they carry a lot of wisdom and essence of the ancient Atlantean leaders. Let's see if we can find a picture, huh? This is a code that not a lot of people know. They're called the Saptarshi. Let's see if we can paste this real quick as we settle in for the last part of this lecture. Saptarshi. Rishi Marichi, Atri, Paluha, okay? Kashyapa, you might be familiar with. So they're the greatest sages of the Vedic realm. They have semi-immortal status, very long lifespan due to yogic power. And there are seven mind-born sons of Lord Brahma who live for a period of time known as Manvantara. So 306. Wow, that's a long time. Okay. So they're the seven rishis according to the Mahabharata. They vary on the basis of scriptures. Okay. So these are like Atlantean codes downloaded in each of these rishis, which is interesting, right? So some went into Atlantis, some went into Tibet, some went into India. So this is why we're seeing so much overlap in our path and in our path working, right? We're seeing so much overlap with it. And so think about this today, okay, about Atlantis, how you're here to heal yourself using these Atlantean energies, okay? Understand that you were made into the element water, which then made you a human from the H2O, being more so water-like being, and this takes you back into kind of a weird primordial memory of Atlantis. You might have certain dreams, memories, epiphanies of this, but this is why, because humanity at a certain point has tapped into this energy and now it needs to heal. And we are here to be of guidance as Primal Sutra. Let's get it. Upward Spiral Gang. May we never be the same again. If this video resonated with you, shoot me a